Joe Duffy for picks and parlays. I'm going to have a free winner on this report on the Big 10 championship game, Ohio State and Indiana. Now, I know some of you, your knee-jerk reaction would be, wait a minute, he's wearing an Ohio State shirt. I know who he's going to have. I would not necessarily assume that. You know, the basic golden rule of gambling is to never bet with your heart. I more than know that. That's why I've been a professional handicapper since 1988, and that was after betting on my own well before that. So I've been doing this for about 40 years, and I do not make picks with my heart. So don't assume who my pick's going to be on, although it could be. But it's going to be definitely the facts are going to guide me. I'm going to have a free pick on the Ohio State-Indiana game coming up in just one moment on picks and parlays. Plus, I'm going to tell you about an incredible offer where we have a Weekend Warrior package where you can get picks from me or another handicapper at a bargain basement price, $49. I'm going to tell you all about that in just 1 second. Ohio State open up as a 5.5-point favorite, a total of 48.5. Best lines on this game, Ohio State minus 4.5, minus 110. Indiana plus 5.5 at plus 110. And this is from Odds Logic. Your best totals available, over 48.5, minus 102. Under 48.5, minus 109. Splits on the side, 58% of the bets, 88% of the cash is on Indiana. Splits on the total, 76% of the bets and 77% of the cash are on the over. I'm going to talk a little bit more about how to interpret those splits in a moment. Please, if you like this information, give me a literal like. Hit that like button right now. It's your way of saying, Joe Duffy, you need to do more free information. You've been a professional handicapper since 1988. You've been winning as a bettor since the early 1980s. Despite your youthful looks, giving me that thumbs up button, the like button, that says you want more information. You dictate how often I'll be giving you free picks. So please like and subscribe. All right, first of all, this game is being played at Lucas Oil Stadium. So it's not a true neutral game. I like to call it a neutral field advantage one. It does benefit one team. Lucas Oil Stadium is in Indianapolis, which in case you didn't know, that Indianapolis is in the state of Indiana. Now, more specifically, Ohio State's going to be traveling 178 miles. Indiana just 50 miles. That being said, Ohio State fans have always traveled well. It's still a pretty short drive. You know, they've been here before. And Ohio State does have the largest number of alumni in the country, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's at least 50% Ohio State fans. But then again, conversely, this is the biggest year in Indiana's history, so it could be about 50-50. Still, though, the game is being played in Indiana, so a little bit of an advantage for them. Now, the Hoosiers are 7-5. Nation's best, 11.6 margin of cover. Yes, they've been the best team this year in terms of so-called sweat barometer margin of cover at 11.6. OH is 10-1-1, but they're covering by an average of only 6.3 points per game. When I say only, I'm saying, relative to, of course, Indiana's nation leading, as we said, 11.6. Ohio State is going under 8-4. Going under by an average of 4 points per game. Indiana's going over 7-5, going over by an average of 3.6. Now, you've probably heard me and other sharps over the years say, public dogs tend to die. Look, I've definitely used contrarian in my handicapping, and when the public loves an underdog, that's usually the best fade. We don't weigh it accordingly. We don't say like 60% is always more than 58%, or 65% is always more than 60. No, it depends on whether they're betting the favorite or the underdog and how big of a favorite, how big of an underdog, other factors. But there is kind of an exception. The public does like to bet on underdogs when it comes to playoff games, postseason. Now, this is technically considered a regular season game, but from a handicapping standpoint, it is a postseason game. And also, the public does like betting on ranked underdogs in both college basketball and college football. So when the public is all over an underdog in those situations, it's not necessarily an auto fade, but still a little bit of a check mark into the contrarian column for Ohio State because the public is liking the underdog Indiana. Now, we do have some angles here. Teams off of a road win in a game in which they attempted 10 or fewer first downs is 215, 138, and 8. Of course, these records are against the spread. That benefits Indiana. Undefeated underdogs of 2.5 or more in game 6 or later, 139, 112, and 7. That also benefits IU. Now, go with a favorite of 3 or more in a battle of two ranked teams if not playing a true road game. Now, of course, really depends on your line shopping, so that may or may not apply to Ohio State. But yeah, favorites in a battle of two ranked teams do very well, but especially if the team is laying 3 or more, which in this case they are laying 3 or more, even though the line is going down a little bit. Now, Sportsline has Ohio State winning 27-22. Teams off a dominant rushing game, and that is defined by rushing for at least 300 yards, plus some other factors. You go with the under, 585, 396, and 25. Now, in the name of full disclosure, man, for years, you and I made a fortune on this system. I mean, it had a run of several years of we hitting 65%. In a bad year, it hit 60%. Recent years, again, the odds makers are always adjusting. It hasn't been as dominant, but still good and still is very much weighted for us. But yeah, when teams are off of dominant running games, they tend to, again, go to the run again, eat up the clock. But this angle used to be even better, but still a very, very good angle, and it does apply here. Now, something that's important, not just for this game, but the other conference championship games, and you know what, college basketball, I am 25-12. Joe Duffy's picks at Picks and Parlays, 25-12 in college basketball, and a lot of tournament games on neutral sites are going on, especially with the holidays. We're going to see more, and we're not that far from March Madness, where the conference tournament's only, 3 months away, then the NCAA tournament. The dictionary is a handicapping tool. A neutral game is not a road game for both teams. A neutral game is just that. It's neither a home game nor a neutral game. In fact, in both basketball and football, a lot of my angles say the team that was actually better at home and worse on the road is better in neutral games. Just word to a wise. The dictionary counts. A neutral game is not a road game for both teams. If you're handicapping a neutral game as a road game, you're making a mistake. You're a square. Ohio State is 18-12 with no more than 6 days rest after completing 19 or fewer passes in their last game. Now, this is a battle, a lot of people think, not just for the Heisman, not just for the Big Ten championship, but for the Heisman. I know Pavlov from Vanderbilt's also in this, but the truth is, if one of these quarterbacks in the Big Ten championship throws for, 350 yards, throws at least 3 touchdowns, no interception, they will likely win the Heisman. But I told you why the public is betting the over, because the public perceives this as a battle of maybe the 2 best quarterbacks in the country, almost certainly 2 of the top 3 quarterbacks. They're expecting a high-scoring game, but you got a pretty high total. The total is definitely shaded a little bit because of public perception. I wouldn't be surprised if the total goes up. So I think there will be some value in the under because of public perception. And there's few things that are more important than public perception. Now, I quote Roxborough all the time. He's one of the most famous odds makers ever. He said, handicap the line, not the teams. And there is so much about public perception. I do think the value is definitely going to be on the under for the reasons I stated. Now, I've been doing this a long time. I mean, a very, very long time. I've been a sports handicapper. I don't know if I've ever, in a game this big, have said a team is susceptible to a letdown. But think about it. Ohio State, they want to do 2 things each year. And it might be in this order. Beat Michigan and win the national championship. Big Ten championship is a distant third. Now, they won, again, the national championship last year. So the fact they beat their rivals, Michigan, last week, it was off of the famous game where Michigan planted the flag. They ended a 4-game losing streak against them. And again, as defending national champions, that's what they're looking for. If there's ever going to be a sandwich game in a conference championship game, it is this. Especially because Indiana, this is the biggest year ever. They're still considered, quote-unquote, a basketball school, though certainly not recently. But traditionally, this is really a bigger game for Indiana than it is for Ohio State. And you're not going to see me outsmarting the room and saying that in a conference championship game or a game of this magnitude very much. So Indiana still has to silence some doubters. This game is a little bit more important to them. I am going to go with your free pick on Indiana. Once again, your free pick is on Indiana. Weekend Warrior. Get every football play from your picks and parlays handicapper. You should choose me. Saturday and Sunday, just $49 bonus. Any plays on Monday will be included. And you know what? I know I got a bunch of college football plays for this week, and I haven't done the Monday stuff. I don't even know if I got a Monday play. But what a bargain. Make sure you do the Weekend Warrior at Picks and Parlays. Please give me a like. Oh, yeah. Another free pick from an elite handicapper is coming up. Don't touch that dial.